I put here 700 million and 200 agents. As we stand right now, we're at 790 million with over 204 agents. I've realized what I've said because I have a conditioning process of being able to envision something and then get back to the basics, get back to the work. Welcome to another episode of Mindset Mastery. I'm your host, Araujo, and this is the first week of 2022, and I'm so excited to be here. Just a lot of reflecting over the last few days and excited to get back on the game, right? And, I say that very loosely, get back on the game, because I've learned not to deviate too far from the game. I've learned to be able to live life at a certain level, a certain standard that I don't allow. My conscience does not allow me to veer off the path too far. And one of the things that I've realized is that becomes a conditioning process, right? Of doing the right things every day. You know when you're off your game, as opposed to going months and even a year without realizing that, man, I didn't reach my goals. I didn't go after or accomplish what I set out to do. And being on your game means that you're constantly being checked. You're constantly being checked by your family. You're constantly being checked by your own conscience. You're constantly being checked by your own thoughts. And we have to get there, because 1 month can easily turn to two, can turn to half a year. And before you know it, we're out here setting New Year's resolutions again, right? Hoping that something else is going to change. And that brings up the conversation that I had with my daughter this weekend. She says, "Hey, Dad, do you and Mom set these New Year's resolutions?" And I said, "Well, not exactly, babe, not exactly." And she says, "Well, why don't you? What do you mean?" And before I start getting into that conversation, I want to go ahead and define what a New Year's resolution is. And that is a promise to do something differently in the new year. A promise to do something differently in the new year. And I told her, I don't go after these resolutions. I go after these targets. And she asked me, what is the difference? And I said, a target means that I'm going to hit it. There is no question that I'm going to achieve what I just said. And as I look back at my 12-week target books, and I'm doing this, I brought these in because I saw Sergio bring his in on a call we had last week. And he brought out a stack of 12-week target books and was trying to convey the fact that his life has completely just changed. The dynamic of his relationships, his body, his business, his mindset, his confidence, everything about him has changed. And again, it came down to a simple conditioning process, right? And it's having these big visions. Most people call them resolutions. I think about it as my future reality, right? It's going to be my future reality. But also backing it up with real, concrete action. And I set targets, which means I'm going to hit it. And then I follow up with quarterly targets, meaning I'm going to chunk down what people are excited about in the new year, right? And I chunk it down to quarters. And then I take the quarters and I chunk it down to weeks. And then I take that week and I chunk it down to a simple daily action plan. A simple daily action plan. And I'll tell you, baby, our life has completely changed and transformed because both Mom and I know exactly what we're going after. And we don't try to overwhelm ourselves thinking that we have 12 months to accomplish this. That's great to see a big vision. But we're going to break it down to 12 weeks. What am I going to accomplish at the end of 12 weeks? And then, again, chunking it down to what am I responsible for this week? And I want to remind you that we are all on this starting line, right? We can get on the starting line, and there's this whole, a thought process that 2022 at the beginning of the new year starts everything brand new, but it really doesn't, right? It really doesn't, because the work really never starts. So let's say we do start today, like everyone else. All 200 of our agents start on the starting line, and I hope you do. Some of you are still doing the same things you were doing yesterday and last week, last month, where you're not progressing as fast as you would, but yet you're not changing any of the habits, right? And even for me, I do the same things every day, but I'm not really doing the same things. Every day I'm challenging myself to something greater. I'm pushing more weight. I'm faster. I'm stronger. My capacity is greater. So let's say we are all on this starting line. And here's what is going to happen if you do the same things that top producing agents do. elite individuals in the game of life do, is that you will stop from widening the gap. That's all that will happen. It doesn't mean that there won't be a gap. As a matter of fact, some people are already out, months ahead of you already. 2 or 3 deals ahead of you, 5 deals, 10 deals ahead because of the work they did 3 or 4 months ago. So even though we may be on the same starting line, it doesn't mean that we're all going to move at the same pace if we do the same things. You could be doing exactly the same thing as one of our top producers, right? The top 1%. But it doesn't mean that you'll be at the same pace as him. You won't be at the same level because of the work they did before. However, if you decide to start this game and begin at the starting line, that means that the gap may not widen as fast, right? It'll still widen because they have so much momentum. They have so much work that they've done in the past that it will widen. And it may appear, you may not even see them in the distance, in the horizon. But here's the beautiful thing about it. At least it's not widening as fast. And at some point, you're going to bridge that gap. But you got to trust the process. You got to trust the work. You can't circumvent the work. I had one of our agents on a call last week that said this. I'm just going to read it verbatim. He says, "I regret the last 2 months, and it's all on me. I had clear instructions on what to do. And I haven't been hitting on the 90 to 100% that I feel I should have. I need to ignore all the noise, do what is required every day so I can get the results because it is proven. The 12-week target book is proven." And listen, I started out this year like I did last year, like I did last quarter, like I did the previous 3 quarters before that, and the last 5 years before that. The same way. I already set my targets. We all set our targets in the 12-week target book. But then now we have to chunk it down. And we have to document our journey. And I love going back to these entries because I've realized the goals that I set forth. I put here 700 million and 200 agents. As we stand right now, we're at 790 million with over 204 agents. I've realized what I've said because I have a conditioning process of being able to envision something and then get back to the basics, get back to the work. And at the moment you stop circumventing the work is when things start aligning, is when your word becomes gold. Now, we're on the starting line. We're starting from scratch. And listen, some people are already miles ahead, and we just started day 1. But don't allow it to continue to widen at that pace. It is your responsibility to be able to showcase to yourself that you can do what you say. But it is a conditioning process. And it's a glaring reminder if you're consistent or not. That's what the 12-week target book does. It just reminds you that you can't have these big goals, these big targets, if you can't simply do the simple things today. They don't align. And that's why I'm so vocal about you, like vocalizing yourself, your targets to your family, vocalizing it to your children, to your spouse, to yourself on a daily. Because at some point, it's going to gnaw at you. At some point, you're going to realize that you're not in alignment. But if you keep all these targets to yourself, guess what? It becomes an option. But don't be surprised if your spouse doesn't believe you. Don't be surprised if your kids don't believe you. Don't be mad at them. There's a reason why they don't believe you. I know when I tell my kids something and I'm going to accomplish something, they're like, yeah, you will. It's only a matter of time. You're going to make it happen. Let's commit about consistency on a daily basis. And I promise whatever you set out to do for 2022 will be a real possibility. You will be close. It will be within your reach here in the third quarter. But it begins with the simple things today. And if you didn't do anything different, then you can't expect any different results. We had one of the guys this morning come in. It's not about calling anyone out, right? It's not about, trying to put him as an example. But there's so much talent out there. And this dude right here is a very strong individual. Very strong. He was gifted with strength. He comes in and he's doing the same weight as I am, right? And our consistency is very, very different. I'm there every day. I have documented 220 plus days with my app last year. And his has been kind of in and out, and it's okay because it's greater than what he was doing before. However, there's more within him. I know that. And I know his world would change if he were just more consistent with taking care of himself. Because when you do that, you start showing consistency in all aspects of your life. But he has to realize that. All I can do is continue to do this to remind you that you're greater than who you are today. That's all I needed. And it opened up a new paradigm of what I considered success. A whole new level of happiness and fulfillment that I couldn't even comprehend. But he comes in and he's lifting. He's outlifting me the first few sets. But then the stress on the muscles starts taking its course. He starts to fatigue. And as he starts withering away in strength, right? And his conditioning, I get stronger. Through all the workouts, I continue to pound on the weight. And I just simply told him, listen, the only difference here is I've shown up more days. Not only are you as powerful, you're much stronger than I am. But I've shown up more times than you have. And that's the only difference between a top producer and maybe the kind of operation you're running. They've shown up more days, that's all. He had every ability to keep up. As a matter of fact, he was running circles around me the first few sets. But he allowed his wiring, his previous wiring, his conditioning, the relief. If you don't know what I'm talking about there, please watch the Mindset Mastery from last week. Seeking relief, seeking comfort. To slow down his progression. When you've showcased, you can move at the speed of these top producers. You can have everything you've desired, but you allow yourself to take a step back, to slow down, to find relief. All of you are talented to make this the most epic year ever. But can you remain in the game? Can you not only can you only not be on the starting line, but can you remain in the race? That's the real question. Can you remain in the race? And that's what it's always about. It's nothing outside of you. You have everything within you now to accomplish what you set forth. This is not another year of just setting resolutions. It's a target. Let's go out and hit it. You can't find comfort in the fact that your bills are paid. You can't find comfort in the fact that things are okay, because one day they're not. So this is on you. But we're all in this imaginary starting line. The first business day of the new year. I just handle it like any other day. I'm going to show up powerfully. And I'm going to do what's required. And this is what I'm asking you to do. If you haven't given an opportunity, if you didn't get the year that you wanted last year, at least begin here so you're not sitting in regret. 2 months will fly by in an instant. 2 months doing the right things can be life-changing. Give yourself an opportunity to trust yourself. And that's all it is. I say it, I do it. I say it, I accomplish it. You do that every day. This can be a year for the books. And I've made that proclamation. Everything that I've accomplished up to this point will be a fraction of what I will accomplish in 2022. Mark my words, because the confidence is through the roof. The conditioning is there. And I've never been more certain in my life like I am today. Because I say it and I do it. And I want this for all of you. As I look back at where my life was in 2014, it's hard to comprehend how the little things every day can equate to such satisfaction over time. I couldn't comprehend that. But I just needed a condition. I needed to trust the process, just a simple process. A simple step I can take every day by just journaling my life. Journaling my thoughts. Doing what is required on a daily so I don't wake up thinking I don't know what to do or how to do it. It's all within me. It's all within you. 2022 is going to be for the books. You got to say it, you got to believe it. But more importantly, you got to support it. What are you going to do today? What do you have planned for tomorrow? What is the main focus for the week? Let's learn to retrust ourselves, guys. And with that, I'm going to have a 12-week target book meeting this Thursday. Okay, and I'm going to use it for training for the rest of the year. So that new agents coming through or people that finally decide that enough is enough don't have to wait to the beginning of the quarter for me to retrain. I'm gonna do this as a training program. So if you decide to get on it or not, I'm going to show up and I'm going to do it because I put it on my 12-week target book. It's going to be accomplished. And I'm doing this because I want you to win. I want the agents, every person that walks through the door of A's and Associates to win. And I know what this can do for you. I've seen it firsthand. So please just buy into it. Learn to trust yourself. By the end of 2022, your life will be radically different. Mark my words. Because this foundation will be unbreakable. Your relationships will be solidified. Your body will feel like a silverback gorilla, like Sergio said. And your business will be able to produce the type of lifestyle you've always wanted. So, forget about these resolutions. You set your business plan, now let's chunk it down. What are you going to accomplish this quarter? What are you going to accomplish this week? What are you going to do about it today? I want to thank you for joining me for this episode of Mindset Mastery. I will talk to you soon. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Badass Agents Podcast, brought to you by AZ & Associates and Do the Work Coaching and Consulting. You can watch this and other episodes by subscribing to our channel on YouTube or by visiting us directly at badassagents.com. And of course, you can listen to this episode and many others on your preferred podcast provider.